going on, Degen Nation? Ken and Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for the AT&T Pro-Am. As usual, I am here with everybody's rich favorite Canadian who won another third place in the GVP Showdown GVP this past week for $40,000. Mr. Tyler Tamboline. Tyler, what is up, my friend?
Consolation prize. It was a birthday gift, and it was the consolation prize for the Ravens.
When was your birthday? I didn't even know that.
Yesterday was my birthday. Yes, thank you.
Happy birthday. Well, how old are you?
38 now. Getting older.
You're almost the big 4-0, man. That's when you start shitting your pants more. That's definitely what I noticed. Yeah,
I'm excited. Yeah, no, it was good. It was a rough day for the Ravens. Obviously, I root for them, but good football all around. Got to watch it. Ended out the day strong with that third place. Definitely going to take that. Last 2 weekends have been very good to me. NFL this season has been very good to me. Before we get into it, though, want to remind everyone very quickly, this show is brought to you and presented by ShipItNation.com. Go check out ShipItNation.com. You can use promo code Mayo. Gets you 10% off. You want to check it out just for the PGA stuff, even. I know it's the Golf Pod, Golf Show. You can check it out. Lots of things rolling. Had 2 more Fantasy Golf World Championship seats in the Discord with members over the weekend. Just absolutely crushing it over there. You can check it out. Projections, ownership, the course fit ranking has been on fire. Our guy Lee, formerly of Fanshare Sports, he's incredible stuff. He's got his value report. You can see it for free, but you can use the code Mayo. A lot of places charging $50 a month, $500 for the year. You can get in for $39 a month, drop 10% off, or $239 for the season, drop 10% off. But Kenny, it was a interesting golf event. I know we're going to talk about some of the stuff. Mathieu Pavon got the job done. Looked like a DP World Tour event there for 1 minute. You got Hogard and Jaeger and Ludwig and all these guys up at the top. It sort of went a little bit different on Sunday. We got Lashley and Knapp and Hostler and Pina and guys like that up there. We'll talk about all of it. But what did you think of the event here last week at the Farmers?
Yeah, this is a great event. As golf fans, this is what we like to see. We enjoy seeing guys come from nowhere, win big-time events like this. I did enjoy that. I guess the one thing that would have made it better is if Pavon was actually going up against, somebody in the top 10 in the world instead of all these guys behind him that are outside the top 50. I mean, whatever. It's still a great win. Don't get me wrong. But, in a situation like that, on just a course that with that much history, you'd expect one of the big dogs to be up there with them to make it even more exciting, right? But no big dogs. But still, what he did was incredible. That shot on 18 out of the 4-inch rough that he put backspin on.
Okay, here we go.
Right, if you guys watched it, I'm not saying he's a cheater. But it looked like he motherfucking cheated. If you guys saw the end, his shot on 18, if you go to my Twitter page and look at the video of him, there's video of him walking around his ball. You can't see his ball because it's under 4 inches of rough. The rough is definitely up again this year at Torrey. And I think it's the way it's going to be from now on, because last year, usually it was like 2.5 inches prior to the last couple of years, prior to the U.S. Open. Being here, it was always like 2.5, maybe 3. This shit's like 4 inches now. It's not easy to hit out of, especially you got to hack it out of there. And so you see Pavon walking around where his ball is, and then you see him take a step, like a deliberate step. To me, it looked like it was right behind his ball. Like you couldn't see his ball, but like where you thought the ball was, he stepped directly behind it, like almost trying to give himself a better pathway to the ball, which of course is a penalty. Didn't really get that much pub, but it was shown the Monday Q Twitter feed, and he said it looked suspect. It got sent to the fried egg guys. They said it looked pretty fucking suspect. To me, it looked pretty fucking suspect. It looked like he stepped directly behind the ball to try and give himself a better pathway. And no one really says shit about it because no one really cares about Mathieu Pavon. Basically, that's what it comes down to, right? If it was somebody that name brand guy, it probably would have been a bigger deal. It probably would have been put to the forefront because it did not look natural. I can't prove that he did it because you don't see the ball. Go to my Twitter feed, look at the video, go on my timeline. You can't see the ball because it's too low, but he takes this weird, deliberate punch down, type step with his right foot, and it looks like it's right where his ball is. Again, sort of weird that not many people were talking about this because it looked pretty fucking shady. I gotta say, it looked pretty fucking shady. Now what we know, I mean, the PGA didn't say anything about it, so I guess we're good to go. Nothing. I haven't really heard any other golfers talk about it, so maybe it wasn't a big deal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't close to his ball at all. But the motherfucker, I mean, okay, granted, it was probably a good 9-iron. He was probably like 140 out on that approach. So it was probably like a wedge 9-iron for him. So maybe he could get that spin without making his lie better. Or maybe he can't. I don't know. Go check it out. Go check out my Twitter feed. Look at the video and see for yourself what you think. Go on the comments and let me know. Did Pavon cheat or was everything legit? Well, I'd like to see the answers here because look shady. But like you said, it was sort of like the one thing you see missing in this event that I wanted to see with a guy like him winning is him going up against the big dog. It didn't happen. That's okay. Now, the big thing about this is, why don't you talk about the event and we'll move on afterwards.
Oh, just to your point there, I mean, I guess that's kind of the angles. Like the big dogs didn't really show up. Like Max Homa down the board, T13, Xander, T9. These are fine scores for them, but these are a product of how it finished out. This was like, Ludwig is going to own this course. I know it's his first time seeing it. He could have owned this course. He missed like 5 3-footers, it felt like, or something like that. But again, he didn't. So it ended up being,
he gained putts. Strokes gained putting. He gained strokes putting.
Yeah, but I'm saying you saw all those 3-footers that he missed, right? Like, I think it was part of it.
That's a normal thing. I mean, last week and this week, 3 to 5 footers, the 2 hardest courses on tour.
And you brought it up last week about in particular. You said everyone thinks it suits him. You said, but I will say this, it's not the type of course he usually plays. We have not seen anything from here. This may take some time to adapt. Mind you, adapting
he's
was
still top 15.
Yeah, top 10.
He's still top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, I don't think there's a course where you can't look at him. I think he's like unflappable on all courses. Birdie Fest, long courses, short courses. I mean, this one might be, is Oberg even playing this week?
He is. I was just going to say,
he is playing, right? Shortly. So this is the true sort of thing. Like, I mean, 6,800 yards, Pebble Beach, you can't hit driver on like half of these holes. It's impossible. You'll be somewhere you don't want to be. And so he has to club down. But I feel like, what did he win? He won the RSM, right?
I don't even remember.
I think he won the RSM.
I was going to bring up something.
That's going to club down. I think a driver heavy course, right? So I don't know. This guy, I'm pretty sure it was RSM.
Yeah, it was the RSM. Yep.
It was the RSM. Yeah, that's not like a driver heavy course either, and he won. So I think this guy's like immune to different types of courses and the talent that he is. And let's move on to that because we've been having some. So we all know Terrell Hatton.
Let me preface this first because I was going to segue it to you. Perfect. Is the reason you're thinking Pavon cheated because you're looking for a villain now that you keep losing your villains, and now you take the floor because you're going to talk about Tyrrell Hatton moving on, another personality leaving the PGA Tour, taking the bag. I saw the stat today. It was 50 to 60 million is what's being thrown out there versus the 28 million he's made in his career on the tour. So we'll go ahead, take Hatton away here, but maybe that's why you're trying to make up these cheating scandals because you want more villains out there on the PGA Tour.
All right, so I like having a conversation with this guy on Twitter at PMT703. His name's Phil. He's a very, very he holds his points and he argues his points fiercely, right? But he's not like too much of a dick about it. Nowadays, when you try and argue with people, especially online, it becomes like a shit pissing contest, right? Like people, I don't know why society has become like that. I guess it's because we're behind a keyboard now. We're not face to face. As much as we were 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, where you would have differences of opinions and you could tell them to somebody and they wouldn't treat you like shit for it. They would try and listen. And even if they didn't agree, they would at least listen to what you had to say. That time is well far and gone for the most part, right? For the way our society is. But I do like having this conversation with this guy, Phil. And so on Twitter. So, I was talking to Phil And his take on Hatton going to live, on all these golfers going to live, is, well, the PGA Tour is going to be able to replenish their talent, no problem. And I agree with him 100%. When it comes to talent, we've already seen it with Dunlop, with Oberg. Like, these guys that the PGA Tour are losing, when it comes to talent replacement, PGA Tour has no problem replacing these dudes. No problem replacing these guys, because everyone still wants to be on the PGA Tour. It's still a dream to be on the PGA Tour. It's still a pinnacle of golf. And so everyone's going to strive to be their best. And if you are your best, you're going to be on the PGA Tour. That's just the way it is. You're going to replenish talent, no problem, on the PGA Tour. What you can't replenish is personality, is characters, that's what you can't replace, at least in a short amount of time. Maybe some of these younger guys, we don't know them yet. They become like, the next Koepka, the next Bryson, the next Reed, the guys who have a personality, who speak out, who say the wrong thing on occasion, right? What you get in the PGA Tour now, talent-wise, crushes. I wouldn't say crushes, but talent-wise, probably better than Liv overall. Okay, maybe not the top 10 or 20. That's probably close. But the rest, after you get past that, PGA Tour crushed Liv, right? The problem with the tour and losing people like Hatton, losing people like Rob, losing people like Kuchar, losing people like Bryson, losing people like Koepka, is these guys actually had some semblance of a personality. Now, us as lifetime true fans who will always be fans for the rest of our lives, it doesn't matter that they left. Like you said, we're still going to get the talent of the PGA Tour. The talent's going to keep growing. We're still going to be able to watch the best golfers in the world week in and week out. And that's from our perspective as degenerate, lifelong, never going to go away from golf type fans. If you listen to this podcast, you're either that or you're a degenerate gambler. One of the two. It's probably half and half. Okay? Now, the problem with this is the PGA Tour is super vanilla. We have to know this, right? It's vanilla. These guys out here on the mic, they don't say they everything's nothing seems real. Like they're talking based upon how they think they should talk so people like them, right? You don't really, the people that are actually getting a little bit different now, Rory's speaking his mind. I sort of fuck with that. It doesn't seem like he's corporate shill Rory anymore. He's fuck that. I'm going to say what I want when I want to say it, what I believe, not so what somebody else is telling me to believe. Now, that would be great because he is the number one star probably in golf. And if he can somehow get that going, and that would be huge for the game where he's not so vanilla and he comes through and it really doesn't sound like what he's saying is manufactured, which is what him on Twitter, stuff like that doesn't seem manufactured anymore. Prior to this, like last year, I hate his ass. It always seemed contrived. It always seemed manufactured. It always seemed practiced, what he had to say. Now, that goes for basically 99.99% of the PGA Tour now. The PGA Tour is vanilla. Now, losing all these golfers that have personality, what happens is it's not just vanilla anymore. It's fucking bleached asshole vanilla. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just white on white on white. And just so plain, right? There's no controversy. There's no animosity between golfers. There's really no rivalries anymore between two guys. Like how before Liv, let me ask you something, Campbell. Before Liv, what was the biggest story in golf in the 2020s? Off the top of your head, that caused a lot of traction, not just for us fans, but for people, for the normies, for the casuals. What story would you say caught the attention of those people a lot?
Anything to do with Tiger, I think?
I was going to go Bryson and Koepka.
Bryson, Koepka, we had the...
Okay, so Bryson and Koepka, that whole, I don't like him, he doesn't like me, sort of animosity between the two. Like, everyone was really praying for them to get paired together every single week. You wanted to see a one-on-one battle with these guys. That was probably the biggest story prior to Live in the 2000s or 2020s. And that's because it was two guys who spoke their mind, who had very heavy personalities, who butted heads. And that brought more eyeballs to the PGA Tour. The problem with the tour losing people like this is not they're going to lose our type of fans. They're not. We're going to be fans for life. It's just not going to gain traction for the casuals or the people that are non-golf fans right now. Because, I mean, to be a non-golf fan and to get into the sport, something has to draw you in. Either controversy, or elite games. And now everyone's so close together, no one can really be elite anymore. Like it's going to be hard to see another Tiger. It's going to be hard to be another Jack because everyone practices so hard, has been playing for so long. Everyone's so fucking good, right? So that's not the way it's going to be to raise the sport. What you need is some controversy. What you need is some personality in the game. To get people to watch that normally would not watch. And the PGA Tour has lost every single golfer that is there, that can follow in that direction. They've lost every single golfer like that. So that's the problem that I see with the PGA Tour. I mean, if the Live was just taking like the random vanilla guys, it wouldn't be a problem. If we still had Koepka, Koepka, Brooks, Patrick Reed, all those guys, Phil, in the PGA Tour, and Liv took like, I don't know, Xander, Cantlay, guys like that instead, who are really vanilla and plain. I would be like, Liv's gonna die. And now I don't think Liv's ever gonna die because they got too much money, but now they got all the personality, and I don't know. It frustrates me when people are like, well, the talent is going to keep on, coming out on the PGA Tour. Yes, of course it is. Yes, the talent pool is going to increase. It's going to get better. There's going to be great fucking golfers on tour to take the place of these guys that went to Live. There's not a single soul I've heard so far that can take the personality, the characters of these guys and replace them on the PGA Tour. That's going to be a big problem. In my opinion, there's going to be no growth in the game. There's going to be the sponsors aren't going to want to put their money in. We've already seen this happen. This is bad for the PGA Tour. Yeah. The last two signings are really bad for the PGA Tour.
And people won't agree, but I've been saying this the whole time. And I'll say it a faster version, I guess, of everything you just said. But the point is it's going to be the short-term pain before hopefully the long-term gain when we get it all back together. And the bottom line is this. You said it. The talent thing is just nauseating because we already know that. We get it. The people forget. Not very many people in this world go to the movies to watch the talent of the actors. They go there because of the story, the plot, the bad guy versus the good guy. They want to see how it plays out and just enjoy some popcorn and watch it. We know we're going to get great golfers. There's going to be battles down the stretch. But like you said, only the true diehard fans care about that. We do, people listening to this, all this. But really, there's been weeks I've had tons of money and even sweats on the line, and I still haven't been engaged by it. And that you could say I'm a fake fan, whatever. I don't care. I'm obviously a fan. I've been doing this for years. I've been watching the sport. I can tell you everything about any guy out there for the most part. It's nothing to do with that. It's what you said perfectly, is that there's no storyline. There's no reason. That's why they are losing sponsors. That's why this does still matter. Oh, but the talent will still be good. No shit. Everybody's good, but none of these guys. Hogard is fucking talented as it gets. Incredible stuff out there. Are they going to turn him into some next coming of this? Like, no one knows who he is or cares. We do. Jaeger, Knapp. Finally, everyone played Knapp a few weeks ago. It didn't work out. Shows up. Hostler, Finau, even Finau. Finau's the dude. I like him. His wife. The family aspect of it. That was like the best. Him and Joel Damon, the 2 episodes on Netflix that were solid. Why? Because they actually have personalities and they're humans, but they're also the nicest guys. You're not going to get that much run out of it unless there's literally a show being produced about them. It's just otherwise going to go out there and do their job. So, like you said, however people want to take it or look at it, it does come down to that. But that is the point you made. I just compare it to like a movie. It's exactly that. There's people that watch movies for the actors and they want to see how good the acting is. And they, people go to restaurants and want to just taste the food. But most people just want to go there and have a good time and enjoy the event and have some ups and downs and things like that go with it. It's the same thing with golf. It's missing that right now. And I'll tell you what, I'll say it again. Everyone keeps going on and bragging up all these events. It was another one to me, Kenny, very lackluster for the farmers. One of the events I truly enjoy during this time of the year, the waste management, the Genesis. We'll see how those ones go. But it's the same thing, man. Like, yeah, I mean, I know football was coming up for the weekend, but they ended this before football. It was over on Saturday. Like, I don't know. It was not something that just had me by the, gripped by the edge of my seat, being like, oh God, I gotta be there to see how this one shakes out in the end. And I'm a diehard golf fan. It's not getting me that way. And I'm assuming it's the same for a lot of other people.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a casual and you turn around, the Farmers usually get a pretty good crowd. Tiger played here all the time. And you see what's going on. And you see like Matthew Pavon, Thomas Dietrich, Bo Hostler, on top of the leaderboard. I mean, for us, it's great. They're great golfers. We enjoy watching these people. We might have money on these people. But for like the casual,
saying the point on the other side.
Like, who the fuck is this? And that's going to happen more and more often than not from now on, because it's just the people that they took. Liv took are just like the characters of the game.
But if we get the calm before the storm, I always talk about, people got to realize can't always be always up. The joke from the Bitcoin and the NFT days and all this, it's always up, always up. It can't always be up. There has to be some downs. This sucks right now, but imagine the injection. Like already you're thinking about for the Masters. You know that. When you get to the Masters, it's amazing because we got some stuff to talk about. We got the history. We're going to have both sides and guys mixed in. And you can think about this right now and you're already pumped. You see a commercial yesterday, everyone making fun of the song. I love that shit. That, heaven is a place on earth. They're showing the background and getting everybody.
I thought that was great. I thought that was a really good commercial.
So did I.
Because again, you got it. I mean, like the whole piano, dun, 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 that spring azalea music for us. Yeah. That's great. That gives us chills, right? That gives us chills. But for the casual fan, like, this is some boring ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear the piano out there, like, this is some boring ass shit. What the fuck? Like, I'm not gonna watch this crap with the piano music in the background. It's like it's built for like 80-year-old plus motherfuckers. Yeah. And so putting out a song like that to make it, sort of at least somewhat more fun than, it's not like that song's new. It's, Belinda Carlisle's like 40 years old, right? It's not like that was a new song, but I thought it was great. I thought it was different, and that's what they need. PGA Tour needs something different. They're losing all the stuff that makes them different. Like all the players. God, I mean, just those type of players being gone it's crushing. In my opinion, it's going to crush the PGA Tour. No one's going to. They're not going to get any more new fans. It's just going to rely on us, the people that have been there forever, and they're not going to get new sponsors. It's if something doesn't happen, it's going to be bad. And it's going to be bad. And here's the thing. No one's going to watch Live still. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we're all going to shift to Live. No one's still going to watch Live. So it's like a fucking waste, right? It's like a fucking waste is basically what it comes down to. So it sucks. It's bothering me a little bit this season. The season's it's weird. It's weird. All right, well, let's move on. We talked about that enough. Anything else you want to say, Tambo?
No, we'll go to the Listener League and keep it rolling from there.
All right, Listener League winner was Jay Wood 016. Please remember to put who you think is going to win this event in the comments on YouTube. You will join our 4-man every week. The winner, if you win that 4-man after picking the winner, you will be in our Tournament of Champions at the Sony Open in 2025. 2025, yes. All right, so Jay Wood 016. He had Homa, who finished 13th, was 25% owned. He had Oberg. He was finished 10th. He was 15% owned. Luke List, 20% owned. Finished in 50th. Jaeger, 11% owned. Tied for third. Batia, he was 13th. Sort of a sneaky 13th. 10% owned. And he had Pavon, the winner, 2.5% owned. Tambo, what'd you think?
That'll do it. Having Pavon there at 2% owned makes all the difference in the world. 113 points. Jaeger scored well. List was the chalk that kind of just didn't matter, right? He got 57 points, didn't do anything for the lineup, but 10-9 and 4 7s. It was a nice build set up that way. Little bit different across the board, but similar to what we always see, right? 2 guys in the 20%, 2 guys in the teens, 2 under 10. Basically what we expected. So congrats to Jay Wood 016. We'll see you in the 4-man this week. Still have not had somebody from the outside YouTube chat get involved and get a W yet, but we did have our Listener League winner last week, J2 Kane, get the job done, win the 4-man, and already in the Tournament of Champions. But shout out to them. Congrats on taking that one down as well.
Nice. So our winner this week for last week is Greg S.J. He picked who did he pick? I think he picked Finau. to win. That was the closest we got. There was another person who who picked Bo Hostler. I think his name was Holy One Kenobi, but that was not his DraftKings name. You got to have your DraftKings name down there. If you don't put your DraftKings name in it, we're not going to pick you. Sorry there, guys. So, Greg SJ, go in, look for my invite for the 4-man this coming up week. All right, so let's get to this week. The PGA Tour just heads, right up the coast for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Golfers are going to be playing on 2 separate courses this week, not 3 anymore. They eliminated Monterey Peninsula from this. They also made the Pro-Am only 2 days. So they definitely changed it up because it is a signature event. Now, the big thing that I want to see is usually because this is a Pro-Am and they don't want 6.5 hour rounds, they make the rough as small as possible. And like usually hitting it out of the rough, the proximity from the rough here is one of the easiest on tour, year in and year out. I have not seen any updates to the course yet, but we'll see. Maybe they make it a little bit tougher because there's not as many AMs. And then on the weekend, there's no AMs, so maybe they let that rough grow. We'll have to see. This is the first year that it's been like this, so we'll have to check and see as the week progresses. So the 2 courses that are going to be in rotation this week are going to be Pebble Beach, of course, and Spyglass Country Club. Golfers are going to be playing with AMs for the first 2 rounds, but then on the weekends, no more amateurs. Now, here's the thing. Like, a lot of the times when this event came along, I leaned heavily on course history because a lot of people don't like playing 6.5 hour rounds with amateurs. So if you look at like a lot of the course history for a lot of these top guys, some of them haven't played here at all. Because it's tough sledding. You got to play with Larry the Cable Guy for 6.5 hours, or Bill Murray doing some stupid shit out there while you're trying to do your game. And that shit was sometimes, there was a cut for the amateurs, and then you could play with the amateurs all the way until either Saturday or Sunday, And so a lot of people didn't play. And so I put course history in big time on this because they know, people that come here know what they are expecting. They know it's going to be a 6 hour round. They know they're going to play with AMs. So if guys consistently play well in that type of situation, those are the ones I'm going to go for usually when it comes to Pebble Beach. Now, we'll have to see about that. I think I'm going to still play this course history as important as I normally do in this, but it might not be as important, especially because we got a lot of people who've never played this course before or who've only played this course like once or twice ever in their career. So we'll have to see how that goes. Let's keep going for this. Only one golfer here in their maiden start has won here since 1950. 11 of the last 15 winners in the top 10 here in one of their last 3 appearances before their win. Experience, like I said, we'll see. I'm still going to count a lot of it for course history, but it might not be that important as it used to be. We'll just have to see by the end of the week. All right, so let's get to the courses. Pebble Beach Golf Links is a 6,850-yard par 72, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. 2 of the par 5s are reachable by all golfers. 1 won't be reachable by hardly any golfer, and 1 is reachable by only the long hitters. 14 is really hard to reach. 18, really hard to reach. Now, off the tee, the course hugs the coastline, making for, beautiful views, also brutal conditions if the wind picks up. Off the tee, golfers are going to see fairways that are above average in size with bunkers guarding the landing zones. Now, again, we'll see how the rough is. Previously, the rough has been almost non-existent. I probably expect the same since there still is a Pro-Am, but it's only 2 days. But maybe they just won't cut it as the week goes on. Maybe that's something that I don't know. I don't know how they're going to go about that. Now, if golfers miss wildly off the tee, OB comes into play since nearly half the holes sit along the Pacific Ocean. On approach shots, golfers see the tiniest greens on tour, a little bit of slope and undulation. This is one of the toughest courses for putts from 5 to 15 feet. Golfers will once again have to deal with the bumpy POA greens on both courses this week. The greens usually aren't crazy fast here. I expect the SIM meter to be around 10.5. Many bunkers and false fronts surround the green as well. Spyglass, if it's not windy and the conditions are benign, Spyglass is going to play harder. Because there's only about four or five holes that hug the coast. There's a lot more trees that block the wind at Spyglass. But if it's windy, Spyglass is going to play easier. So there you go for showdown, first round leader bets, check the weather, do your thing. All right. And so all the par fives are reachable in 2. And there's also a reachable, drivable par 4 17th hole. Again, this course can play difficult, even in benign conditions. So, it's usually a little bit tougher course. The first 5 holes here are played among the coastal sand dunes. But after the 5th hole, the course moves inland and is played within the Del Monte Forest. With many more trees protecting this course, the wind could be less of a factor than Pebble Beach. Off the tee, golfers are going to see average-sized fairways with just a few fairway bunkers to deal with. If golfers are wild off the tee, they're going to have to deal with trees and some water. On approach shots, they're going to see slightly larger greens than to Pebble Beach, but the greens have much more slope and undulation. And once again, only 1 round for the golfers on that course. Tambo, what are you looking for in golfers this week?
Yeah, stats-wise, I think you covered it well. You talked about the course rotations thing. The one point that I would, you went both sides of it. I liked your second point better, was the course history factor, where, like you said, it's something that you would lean on heavily, guys that can play in those pro-am rounds. Again, less pro-am rounds to deal with here. Decent pin setup probably for the first 2 rounds, the way they've got it, if you'll keep your eye on weather. But I think anybody can get through it. If you give just one example here, so Jordan Spieth, incredible history here. He won it in 2017, second and third in 22 and 21. No Scotty, no Hovland, no Rory, no Cowan, no JT, no Ludwig, no Matthew Fitzpatrick, no Sam Burns, no Tom Kim, no Sung J M, no Hogard, anything. And even the guys that did play it with him, some of those years, like the Homas and guys like that, Sam Burns, Homa, whatever, they've got better. These are in years that they were not what they are now. So it's like, that's the example where I think you got to factor in strength of field during those years. So that's something for sure. If you're just going to play course history only, I think you're going to get swallowed up here, because there's a lot of good players at this tournament this year that can get through.
One thing I forgot to mention. Oh, there is no cut in this event, right? There's no cut?
No cut.
Okay. Because I know there's some signature events coming in where they cut to 50.
Yeah, no.
This one's not one of them.
Right.
Okay.
No cut. 2 rounds with the amateurs. Only the 2 courses, Monterey Peninsula out. You've got the other 2 courses still, like you mentioned. Just how you broke it down is perfect. But I'm just saying, that's a factor for me, where obviously those guys are still going to pop and look at them. I'm not saying don't play them. Obviously, I wouldn't rely fully on that. I liked your point of where you may not consider it as much. More stuff that you can look at, like you said, coming in the recent form, the setups, the greens, all this stuff. But I think you'll see it. We'll just check it out. But over the first 2 days with the amateurs in play, probably plays easy enough that any of these guys can get after it. And then really just comes down to what happens over the weekend. At that point, again, lots of scoring. Was on the first look today with Degenerates 75. We do that every week. This week was on the Ship It Nation YouTube station, our sponsor. And he talked about a good point there. I like that he brought up is in these no-cut events, the chalk does typically get there more because they're chalk for a reason. They're good plays. They make sense. Everything lines up. But then you give them an automatic extra 36 holes that they're just going to get to play. So it's like, even if there was worry around one of these 6K guys when we get down there, I will say the pricing very soft this week because signature field, less in it, no cut, all of that. They made it so all your lineups will look pretty good. Can set them up a ton of different ways. But his point was true that I think his point is true where he said it like that, where the chalk will have, in most cases, a better shot. So you're going to have to get different in other places within roster construction, leaving some money maybe, all different ways you can go about it on this slate. But I like that point. So for me, it's kind of the biggest thing. Like I said, keep an eye on weather for sure when it comes to showdown especially, but also just in general for some of the main stuff, maybe a hot start or anything along those lines. But for me, not much else beyond what you brought up. I'm excited. I do like that we finally have a strong field like this that we're getting, and we know this course, so maybe this one will be a little bit better. Less Bill Murray, less Larry the Cable Guy. Let's do this. Let's finally get a good one rolling here. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't want to see like the Conoco Minolta swing vision of fucking Everybody Loves Raymond. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see that. So usually this used to be like the worst event to watch, a year because of these rounds. We'll see. Maybe I'm hoping it gets better. I'm hoping it improves. Let's get to these tiers now. One thing you did say that I will mention, when it comes to course history, I'm focusing in more on cash. Mm-hmm. And also because of the no cut situation, there's people that I would roster this week in cash that I would never roster in a cut event. And it'll probably be my second cash game cornerstone today. You'll see it. So let's get to these tiers. Let's go to this 10K range. We got Xander up to Rory. Tambo, tell me what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how I'll go about this yet, but I will say that, early on, just looking at it from this perspective, talked about this today too, but I do like this. If you notice, there's 4 guys in the 10K and above range, but Xander 10, Hovland 10-2, super jump up to Scheffler 11-4, Rory 11-5. So
is that going to subdue Rory and Scheffler's ownership?
Early on, I say yes. Again, we'll see how it shakes out because obviously when you do get down to that 6K range, there is guys from 65 to 6,900 that you could feel really comfortable with, let alone the bottom 7s and all that. You can still make it work. So maybe it changes as the week goes on. As it stands now, it looks more like that 9K range is going to get built up around the Spieths and the Homers. We'll get there, but I'm saying up top, we'll see where it goes. But it looks like Scheffler will be the one that is popular in the 11Ks, not Rory, even though Rory is coming in off a win in Dubai. And what probably should have been another win. No shade thrown Tommy Fleetwood's way, but Rory, I think he 4-putted or 3-putted from 5 feet, and basically
he also hit the water on 17 and
on 18 after that. Yes, it was to end it out. So yeah, I mean, either way, Rory's playing just fine right now, and I think people, if they are going up here, I know it's only $100, they just feel better about a Scheffler. If you go look at your stat models, things like that out there, obviously Scheffler is always going to pop. His tee to green game has been insane for the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever you want to look at the long term. So I think that's somewhat interesting. And then Xander, it's a no cut, which usually is where, Xander's world, we're all just living in it, but it does feel a little bit like people might want Hovland. $200 more, it's not much, but if you people look at Hovland as the cheaper Rory, he gets a lot of that comparison anyway. Then you look at, he came 13th here last year. I don't know. Xander is coming in hot, playing better golf right now, so maybe it's just split amongst both. But I would have interest right now in probably Xander, Scheffler, Rory, maybe Hovland the least as of right now.
What do you think the ownership is going to go? You think Xander, Hovland, Scheffler, Rory?
I think it's going to be very spread out. I don't see anybody I see him separated by 3 to 5 points right now. I think Scheffler more than Rory. I think right now, probably Xander more than Hovland, but I think it's still closer than people think.
Is Rory going to be the lowest owned in the 10K range?
Is Xander?
Rory.
I think Rory will be, yes, because the price all the way up.
If he is, I'm playing Rory and I'm playing Scheffler. Okay. I'm going to play both those guys.
Scheffler or in your pool?
In my pool.
Gotcha.
In my pool. I think you could probably be able to fit them. There's 6K guys out there. And like we've seen, the 6K guys are hunting here recently. If you bet the 4 winners of the first 4 events this year and you carried them over each week, you'd be up $15 billion. Not even joking. You would be up.
Just a note, while you bring that up, Chris Kirk, 7,500. Pavon, 7,100. Dunlap, 6,900. And Grayson Murray, 6,500. So there's your 4 winners we've seen so far this season, and they're all right down there, 7,500 and below. If you want to play some.
So if you want to go Rory and Scheffler, that you could hit the sweet spot on the other 4 guys, right? That could be the sweet spot. There's guys down in the 6,300. Hubbard that I would play. Actually, he's one of my cascade cornerstones. So we're jumping ahead of ourselves right there. But Hubbard down here, Brandon Wu, Taylor Moore, all 64. Yeah, you could play both the big dogs. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I haven't made any of these lineups, so I could be 100% wrong. But at least just viewing it now with all that talent in the 6K range, I feel like it's doable. And if Roy's going to be the lowest owned out of those 4, I got to play his ass. That's just the way it is. I'll fade Hovland, I'll fade Xander, and I'll play Scheffler and Rory. No problem on that. Let's move on to this 9K range. 3 cash game cornerstones here. The way I'm doing my cash lineup for this is 3 studs and a punt. So 3 studs and a punt, 3 guys that I think that can win this event. 2 of them with great course history. 1 who doesn't play this course that often, but I think suits this course immensely. So my first cash game cornerstone is going to be Justin Thomas at $9,600. Doesn't play this course often, right? But his short irons are money, right? That's his shit. His game looks like it's back. He's gained almost 24 strokes on the field in his last 2 events played. So that would be the one he played earlier this year, and I think the Ford net back in the fall. So 24. He's gained 24 strokes on the field in his last 2 events. It looks like his game is back. He's going to win again soon. I bet him 22-1. Give me some Justin Thomas as my first cash game cornerstone. Second cash game cornerstone is going to be right underneath him. Maxwell Homa. Again, course history in this place, really, really good. He could putt on Poa, California guy. Pretty good form coming in. Pretty decent last week. I don't think he's finished outside the top 20, and God knows, I don't know. It's been a minute for him. So I'm going Homa, second cash game cornerstone. Third, and this is the one that I normally would not play in a event with a cut. But I'm going Jordan Spieth as my third cash game cornerstone. Again, a guy who crushes this event. Came in third at the Century, so form coming in good. Course form, very, very good. The thing about Spieth is he can get like all these high numbers, but he can just randomly just go out there and make a shit ton of birdies. Just go out there and just go birdie crazy. And he's done that at this course, at this event, a few times. So give me those 3 to go ahead and start my cash lineups. After that, I'll play Cal. Give me some more Cal. He fucked me last week. Everyone fucked me last week, basically. I went like 1 of 4, made the cut in my cash game cornerstones, and I still almost cashed. If Jaeger won, I would have cashed. That's how tough it was, because I had Jaeger in my cash lineup. I did not miss out by a lot. But yeah, I'm going to go back to Kyle. I don't know. You think there'll be any flop lag people? I don't even think there will be. He'll probably be popular, right?
I was going to say, you don't get it anymore. Like, I'm going to go back to him because he screwed everyone last week. It doesn't matter. Everyone's playing him still. He's 9,100. They're going to stick with the Cali guys are going to stay popular. Xander, we just talked about at 10K. Then you got, I don't know, Cantlay would be the one where I was going to say that you could maybe get some flop lag. I mean, people have
some leverage
so far. But
because he hasn't played this course very well either.
What was it? Actually, he has played pretty well for the last 3 of the 4 years. Third, fourth,
maybe I'm thinking about somebody else.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, you're right.
But it still feels tough when you've got the decision of Xander, JT playing better, Jordan Spieth and his history here. Max Homa's got a pretty decent history and playing really well also. And then you got to the bottom range here with like if people play Ludwig or something like that. So I don't know. It's really tough in this range, but I like Cantlay.
Cantlay, you think lowest owned?
Who?
Cantlay.
No, I don't even. It's probably
like in the 9K range.
Yeah, I just don't. I think the ownership conversation is almost pointless from 9K and up because I think it's play who you want this week in this spot. Because if you're talking about Cantlay at 16 or Jordan Spieth at 21, it is 5 points.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
It's like.
But I was thinking maybe like 12, 11 Cantlay.
If you could get that even better, then the play probably becomes even better because now you are talking about, real separation. But I just think it's just too close. And I think if people are going to this week say, well, if Rory's going to be that much lower owned than Scheffler, and then the cards turn over and they realize Rory's only 3 points less than Scheffler, it's just, again, we're looking at it just to create our own narrative or our own angle. And sometimes you just need the guy that's going to get there for you or the guy that you like to put your money on. So Cantlay or Ludwig, I still think Spieth, Homa, Kawa get love. And JT, it's always an interesting one, but I still think people could get there. He's coming in on, some good finishes, overseas finishes, things like that. Like I could still see where he gets the love too. So for me, I like 3 Cali guys. Cantlay, Homa, Kawa are the 3 that stand out early on.
Let's move to this AK range. Tim, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, it's a bit interesting. It looks like Finau will get some love here. This is where I will start to see some separation. Like I could see Finau coming in double the ownership of a Sam Burns or a Cam Young, for example. So not to say
I can't get on Cam Young. Would you play Cam Young? I can't get on board.
It's tough to say. Like, you brought it up earlier. One thing I was going to say.
Game theory wise, if he's single digit owned, yeah, maybe that makes sense. But like just the eye test watching him play, I don't know. It just doesn't seem
rounds. He played pretty good last time out, right? He just finished third. But it reminded me when you brought up Ludwig earlier and talking about him and like at which course is set up. Remember, I don't think he ended up finishing that well, but Cam Young definitely surprised some people. I think he was even the first round leader that year. But remember, he went and played the RBC Heritage and finished third. He ended up finishing third. Yeah, that year. Remember, there's no way he sets up for this course. It's a horrible course fit. Why would you play him here? All that. And so, you never know. But I just thought of that when I thought of Ludwig earlier, and so maybe that would be the case on Cam Young. But again, tough to get there when you've got guys like Tommy Fleetwood, beat Rory. We just talked about it, but I still think he sets up just fine here. Anyway, Sung Jae, been saying it all year. I mean, he's 8,500 for Sung Jae here. I'm not going to get away from that. I don't know where the ownership ends up, but I'm fine with him either way. You're going to talk, I think, a little bit about Hideki. I could still talk about going back to the well on Hogard or Fitzpatrick. I think both of those guys are interesting as well. And then Benny Ann, I'm sure gets steam, but is at least somewhat interesting on paper early on at just 8K in this field.
Well, here's the thing. Cam Young's one of the worst iron players in this field, right? But he's fourth from 125 to 150 in the last 50 rounds. And that's where you're going to hit a lot of your approach shots from. So he must literally suck balls at every other yardage, because he's 68th out of 80 golfers in my model this week in stroke gain approach in the last 50 rounds, but he's fourth in proximity from 125 to 150. So I find that funny. Could maybe make a play for him, because I don't think he's going to be popular. He could be that leverage play that you need to take down a GVP with, Finau, one of the most popular people on the board, probably right above. My favorite play is Hideki. Again, I think Hideki's going to win an event soon. I bet him. I didn't take him at 55 to 1. I took him at 45 to 1 so I can get 8 places. So I took Decky at 45 to 1. He only had one bad round last week. I think he finished top 15. He shot 76 on Saturday, shot 67 on Sunday. Shot 7 under the first 2 days. The big thing is that he looks healthy. Another big thing is his driving has been weak. It's probably been the worst part of his game here in the last 6 months. It's what's been keeping him from a win. At this course, you don't really need to do that well driving. You can even miss fairways and be just fine. Like I said, the rough proximity, pretty fucking easy at this course, unless they decide to change it because of the new setup and the Rams only playing 2 days. But if they don't, I think, that sort of nullifies his weakness and just plays to his strength. And when you look at Decky, I mean, one of the best from 100 to 150. You're going to see more than half of your approach shots coming from that range. I think a win's coming for him soon. I think I like him as my highest owned golfer. I've sort of been trying to find an 8K golfer every week. It doesn't happen all the time, but I like finding an 8K golfer that I'm going to play as my highest owned, because it gives you so much flexibility up top, where you could play 30% Rory, 30% Scheffler, right? And still be over maybe double the field on those two guys, and still play a bunch of guys in the 9K range. And if you have, and then you have Decky as your highest owner at 50% of your lineups, that's sort of what my sweet spot is. I sort of like doing that. Now, a lot of the times I don't like any golfer in the 8K range where I would do that for, but this is one of the weeks where, Decky is my favorite golfer, him and JT this week. So I'm going to go ahead and run with it. He'll be my highest owned. I like Decky. I also like the bottom of this 8K range a lot. When it comes to Hogard, his wedge play, very, very strong. You saw him play well last week. Benny, of course. Tom, again, Tom, wedge play, really, really strong. You're getting sort of a nice discount on him. I like this bottom 8K range a lot, but Hideki is my favorite play on the board.
Yeah, well,
7K range.
One quick note, then I'll go to the upper sevens. Yeah, because 7Ks, I think there's only 11 guys I got it here that are in the top 7,500 above. But just one note on Hogard. I brought it up. It came up, I guess, late Tuesday last week. Wednesday, we had it over at the Ship It Nation Discord. We just started chatting about it. It's like, what if the guy is just severely underpriced right now for what the long term looks like? Because this was the point that was brought up. Everyone was super high on Minwoo Lee, and Minwoo Lee had won recently and all that stuff. And it was like Minwoo Lee had beat a bunch of guys that played over on Live. And it's not, again, nothing against them or saying like that. If you went back to the second at I think it was the Nedbank, and then it was the DP Tour World Championship that Hogard had won at, on top of the Nedbank second place the week before. And that had like Rahm, Rory's, Hattons, the dude, like the top tier in the world, and he was taking them down. So, I mean, almost just won this past week. He's priced 8,100. I'm sure he picks up some steam as the week goes on, but maybe people say, okay, hasn't played here, doesn't suit the course. I don't know what people might say, but it was just an interesting note. I think Tom Kim was another guy there. You mentioned Benny. I mentioned Benny. But if you wanted to look, for a pivot, you could see where Benny gets steamed up and Tom Kim comes in at much less than him, and you could play Tom Kim instead there as well. Upper 7Ks looks like Hostin, Hostler, Henley, those types of guys you'll see get some ownership, but they do stand out for that reason. Like, you'll still look at the stats and see them pop out. Henley specifically, so we'll see what happens with him, but his stats look really good over the last 50. Scott, I bet Adam Scott there. I think he's an interesting play there. Keegan at 7,700. I could play a couple of these guys instead. So Henley, Keegan, Scott, sort of the guys in that upper 7K range that I was looking at. Who are some of the guys for you?
One thing about Hogard, 4 really important stats this week in par 5 scoring: 100 to 125, 125 to 150, and birdies are better. He's top 25 in this field in all of them. Pretty good field. It's showing a little something. I like his game. The kid could be really, really good. Let's go down to this. Now your 7K range. I like. I'm gonna go Bo. I mean, the guy plays this course well. He has really good form back to back. I don't know. He's had some really good run here recently. I was even thinking about playing him in cash. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. But Henley, of course, is up there. Probably the best wedge player in this field, at least in the last 50 rounds, from 100 to 150. There's no one even really close to the way Russell hits those wedges. And then I sort of like a lot of these mid guys like Denny, Justin Rose, Kirk, and Fowler. That foursome right there in the middle. I would say Rose and Kirk are my 2 favorites. Again, Kirk, another guy, really, really good with those wedges. Same with Rosie. Both strong with wedges. Same with Fowler. Those 3 guys, all top 20. From 100 to 125, 125 to 150.
No one's playing Fowler this week either, I don't think.
I know. Yeah, I'm going to play Fowler. I'm playing him at this discount. I like the way he sets up. He's really, really good around the green as well. This course should line up fucking well for him. And if he doesn't perform, then maybe, his game's just not where it needs to be, which is very possible.
Yeah, do you think Poston just gets really steamed up, like 5th, 6th, 11th? He's been playing so good lately. It's remember all those bogey-free rounds, like just everything we've seen him do. He's just 7,900. Could you see him get pretty popular in this spot?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like when I first put my model out, I had to adjust a little bit since then, but he was like one of the top 5 in my model. Now after some adjustments, he's 10th in my model. But yeah, he's playing very, very good golf. But I think, is his course history not that great here?
He played it way back again. You're talking, I have it here. You go back to 2017 and 18. He 66, 68, but he hasn't played it since. So, I mean, just much different JT Poston. We're talking about him playing good golf right now, really good golf right now. And it's just 7,900. It's priced in as well. I like your Kirk call there at the bottom. I can do some of the bottom range. I'm gonna play Siwoo. Again, don't really care. I know like miscut in a 4th. Hasn't been playing incredible, but again, just the price, 7,400. I'm sure Eric Cole should be super popular. He's a guy, again, you're not going to get much flop lag on. 9K last week. Did not come through. Sure, people hop right back on. That's fine. I like Hadwin. I like sticking with Jaeger. I like Harris English down at 7,100. Brendan Todd popped a little. And then maybe your boy, Giuseppe. Seb Straka, 7K. Same thing, just 4 full rounds for these guys. I will say, too, Kenny, real quick, I like Henley. I'm with you on him. But just to say it on the guy like Henley, like, when you see these stats and everything looks super safe, it checks out okay, it's solid, that's good. But 4 full rounds, that's where, and that ownership drifts because of that. It's like that's where you can get different. The other guys around him may not be quite as safe on paper, but guess what? We don't need the safety as much. We're not looking for a made cut. We're looking for the upside. We're looking to leverage it. We're looking to beat it. So not talking about necessarily just him in general, but the way that was brought up is how people need to think about the entire field when they're making their lineups this week in roster construction. You don't need to worry about safety as much in your lineups. Like cash, you could look for it, I guess, but for most stuff, tournaments and stuff, I'm definitely not worried about that at all.
What about Kevin Yu? 3rd and 6th the last 2 weeks, 7th here last year.
He's crushing me right now. I'm not going to go back again.
We're not going back?
No, but I mean, he makes sense. The guy's playing good.
Do you think, how popular do you think he'll get?
I don't even know if he will. That's my problem is when
if he's not popular, I'm definitely going to fucking play him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I just, in the range of all these guys around him that I just talked about, he finishes like 10th for the guys around him. So if
he's like one of the worst. He's like the worst outside of Killer Keith Mitchell, who I like this week in this bottom 7K range. Killer, this course doesn't seem like it should suit Keith Mitchell right at all. Plays it pretty fucking well. I don't know how. Stats wise, he's like 78th out of 80th in my model. I'm fucking playing him. So there you go. We're gonna play a little Killer Keith this week. Let's get down to this 6K range. My final cash game cornerstone, I said it earlier, it's going to be Mark Hubbard. Hubbard gained like 10 strokes ball striking last week. Like, it was fucking ridiculous. Like, I think he's made 5 of his last 6 cuts at this event. He's made like 3 or 4 cuts in a row. Gained 8.5 strokes with his irons last week. The dude was just on point. Couldn't make a putt, but the dude was just unbelievably on point with his irons, even his driver, accurate off the tee. So my 4 cash game cornerstones for this week, they're going to be Justin Thomas at 9,600, Jordan Spieth at 9,400, Max Homa at 9,200, and Mark Hubbard at 6,300. It leaves you a lot of money left. I think like well over 15,000 to finish out the rest of your lineup. Other 6K guys I like in this event. Brendan Todd, he's not 6K, but I'll play him at 7. Hollywood Hoagie, former winner here. He looks fine at $6,700. Thomas Detry, I don't know. This guy's like, I can never tell. At this price point, I feel like I should play him. He was in the lead on Saturday or Friday this past week, and he hit a wedge that landed like on 18, I think, that landed 15, 20 feet past the hole, spun back into the water, got a double bogey. He was in the lead at that time, and it got down to -9 and sort of fucked him the next day. And sort of, I don't know, he seems like he can get in his head sometimes, because you don't really see Detry on TV too much. When he missed that shot, he looked shook. He looked fucking shook. So we'll see. But I mean, at that price, I think I can get there. What about Lucas Glover at fucking 6,500? Second best wedge player in this field behind Russell Henley at $6,500. Do you think he's going to get massively owned?
I don't think anyone
This seems like a wrong price.
I feel like the only guys down here early on, maybe we talked about this guy earlier today, Cam Davis. Seemed like a lot of people in the chat were very comfortable with him because you'd never want to play Cam Davis, but you kind of do when you get 4 full rounds, right? You're like, okay, I can get behind this guy. That would make sense. So him, maybe like the guys that projection guys like Hubbard, Schenk, those guys always get a little bit of a boost. Maybe Svensson, but then Glover would be kind of, I think, right behind them. But I could see Glover still being like 5%. And that's fine if you want to play him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play him. I like these bottom 6K, like Taylor Moore, Brandon Wu. I'm playing those guys. Taylor Moore's played this course pretty well both times. You know, Brandon Wu was runner-up behind Justin Rose last week, and he's been playing, off and on pretty well for the last 3 or 4 months, last 6 months or so. He's had some decent finishes and, of course, some bad ones. He's not the most consistent guy, but the upside's there, especially for $6,300. Any guys that pique your interest here, Tambo?
I guess one was Ben Griffin. I don't know if you remember. I know, missed the cut last week, but the week before, I don't know if you were watching then. It was just incredible stuff as he was climbing up that leaderboard. He's got a boom-bust type mentality, but that's good for a no-cut. 9th, 8th, miscut, 30th. Like, he's still in the mix, and those are full field events. This is a smaller field. Can find his way up there for $6,400. Svensson, who I mentioned earlier. I know Mayo is going to probably talk me into this guy tomorrow, so I'll mention him now. Is Kitayama, 18th and 29th here, 2 of the last 3 years. Coming in off a 29th and a 24th, no cut, hard course. Like, I could see it where with the weekend this year being a bit harder because you don't have the AMs and the necessary setups of the pins and different courses and all that stuff. I could see it where he finds his way through. Griot is right there at 6,800, and then Patrick Rogers, 6,900, sticking with the plays out in Cali theme. He has not played well here in the past, but his form right now is pretty significant. So at 6,900, I could see taking a shot on him as well. But you got to take your stance there. You can make a case for a lot of guys. You can make a case against a lot of guys, but you can just sort of get your pool down to the 4 to 5 guys. You don't have to put a set number on of the ones you feel good about. Get some actual leverage on them, like be able to play them enough, and then mix them in with those guys up top and some different builds for the ones we talk about. Because up top, way harder to figure out for me than down here. I got some good stands I want to take down here. It's the up top part where it's hard to pick between Rory, Scotty, Hovland, Xander, all those dudes. So I like this field. I like this event. I like the setup of it for what's usually a weekend you don't even care to watch versus this year. Maybe it should be a lot better. So that's probably it for me down here, Kenny.
Sounds good. Let's go to bets. I have two. I just have Justin Thomas right now at 22-1, and I have Matsuyama 45-1 with 8 places. I'll probably add one more sub 50 to 1, and I'll probably add some longer shots for my final betting card on Wednesday at Cubs Corner.
Yeah, Spieth might be a hedge for me. I got him at 18. I don't know what his ownership's going to look like, but popped up for us over at Ship It Nation. So Spieth at 18, Decky at 45 with the 8 places, Adam Scott at 55 with the 8 places, and Kitayama 150 with the 8 places. I brought it up because I knew Mayo was going to have it in his bag tomorrow. So already on that one. For one and done, I don't know what I'm going to do here, but man, if I go the course history angle, it might actually be like a Jason Day, because what else would I be saving him for? Versus, I don't know who else I would play here, but he missed the cut recently, but before that he was playing okay. I don't really have a good feel for one and done. How are you handling it with it being a signature event this year?
I might play Max in this one, because I think everyone's saving him for Riv, right? Isn't that the one he wins all the time, or is that the one he never wins?
And he's good there, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I think everyone's saving Max for Riv, so maybe I'll use him this week.
I don't hate that idea. I needed to be talked into something. I never make my one and done until we get closer, because if there's weather or different things like that, I'll look at. But man, it's been a rough go so far for me. But Papa Tambo coming through with the picks so far. So he had a bad one. He got his first. So he had Xander the week before. Little dad talk here. He's been watching the show too, so he'll appreciate this. But he had Xander. He was so happy. He even knew about Nick Dunlap not being able to get the money, and he was all fired up about this. But then he got his first taste last week, Kenny. You know what happened? Played Morikawa. Morikawa goes out and just crushes it on day one. You know he's feeling good. See you later. Bye-bye, Morikawa. Doesn't even
I felt the same way. Morikawa fucked me last week, no doubt. Jason Day fucked me last week, no doubt. Alex Smalley fucked me last week, no doubt.
Welcome to one and done. Welcome to one and done. I said that. That's perfect. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun, though, man. I love the one and done. I think it's a good way to get involved. Don't have to put too much effort into it. You can get your research done, get your stuff in, check out a show like ours with this one, be able to do it. Don't forget to leave us those comments, again, with your winners down low in the comments. Make sure you guys let us know who you got to win this event, and leave your DK handle, if nothing else, because if nobody picks the winner, we just go down the leaderboard to the closest to the top with the actual DK handle. There was Greg SJ this week, as Kenny mentioned earlier.
All right, sounds good. You find me on Twitter at Ken, on X at KendoVT. Find my article on GupsCorner.com. Lots of good new work happening over at Gups Corner, especially with the PGA tools and such. Really revamped the user interface. Super easy to use. I mean, easy enough for my old ass to use. So go check it out. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a membership to Gups Corner. Tambo.
Find me on X at Totag and Tambo. The tidbits will be back this week on Wednesday morning. Just last week, when someone asked me about after, I always say this, but I talk about when there's a short week like that, there's no point. Most people don't even put their articles out till Monday evening or afternoon. Tuesday will be out, and the event started on a Wednesday last week, so always tough to get it on the short weeks, but nothing to miss out on. I'll be back starting this week and a bunch beyond. Next week, going to be at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, so if you're there, hit me up. Be out there with the DGen75.com crew and the Ship It Nation crew. Already set it up to meet a lot of people out there, but we got certain events that we're hosting. So if you guys want to check it out, hit me up on X at Totag and Tambo. I'll let you know the itinerary and where we'll be at. We'll be at the tournament a bunch, of course, as well. And then you guys can check out ShipItNation.com, sponsor of the show. Use promo code Mayo to get 10% off. The prices are the second level. They're still much cheaper than the rest of the industry, but they'll go up again in the next couple of weeks. So go check it out now. Use that code Mayo to get in before you miss out. There's been a ton of success to start the season so far.
All right, this sounds good. Should be a fun event. More West Coast golf, primetime golf. Let's win some motherfucking money. DGen Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words.